This is Rachel Chateau with Pride.com, and today I'm speaking with drag star Eureka O'Hara.
I've got several things today, and then I start the Vegas show tonight. So
Are,
excited.
are you in Vegas right now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. God, you stay very busy, which is great because it means we have lots to talk about today.
I
But
love that.
but I would imagine it's probably a little tiring. How do you do it all? What is your secret? What is your vitamin regimen?
My vitamin regimen, vitamin regimen. Um, I think that self-care is very important. Honestly, a lot of it's self-reflection for me. I take time to like be alone, to like remind myself, like to keep the demons at bay, I guess.
Yeah.
Keep the anxiety down, keep the voices or that, that demon on our shoulders or that little insecurity in the back of our head that tries to get at me. Often it was, taught to me at a young age. And it's something that I still have to sit down and have a conversation with every now and then. So I set that insecurity and that scared part of me down and I talk to it, talk to myself really like, you know what, why are you here? What are you here for? What's making me nervous? Reminding myself I did great, So it's really like self-reflective, narrative changing constantly.
Mhm.
And then also just self-care in general, like making sure that I shower and brush my teeth daily, making sure that I make my bed, creating habits that are for me and just for me,
Mhm.
is very
Yeah.
helpful too.
That's good. I'm glad you're taking care of yourself because I think there's one of those things where because you are someone that people look to as an empowering figure, it's
Mm.
easy to forget that you also kind of like need to take care of yourself. Like it looks like you have it figured out. So
Right.
like that kind of vulnerability is also, I think, a powerful message to people, that like even people who look like they've got it figured out, sometimes they need to remind themselves to get up and brush their teeth and do their thing every day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is the tea. I'm human
Mhm.
at the end of the day, as far as I
Mhm.
know.
I mean, we'll see. Like, it seems like
Um,
you are in a transcendent situation right now with all the things you got going on, including this new single, which is amazing. How
uh,
has the reception been for you?
it's been really good. It seems like people really love it. I just have so much coming out right now. It's just hard to keep up with people's reaction, because of We're Here and then Big Mama. And then I'm excited to share the video on December 22nd. So I think that'll get more of a reception. So far,
Hmm.
everyone's loved it. And that's just my next step is like, what's the next push of promotion and preparing for the music video release? And it's all just a part of the fun of it all. So
Yeah.
everyone seems to like it, and I love that. And I
Hmm.
still have more to present. I just got the photos from our premiere party that I'm excited to share. And yeah, so it's been a lot, but it's been fun.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean,
Uh,
the message of the song is like, think, it is an empowerment song. It's a powerful song, but I know it's also and it is inspired by some women in your life. Can you talk a little bit about, how it celebrates them?
Well, for me, originally, my mother and my grandmother were the women that were always there for me growing up. They were my
Hmm.
best friends. I was very ostracized and picked on and separated and isolated a lot growing up in East Tennessee, just being so big and being so queer and being so effeminate. And, I dealt with some childhood trauma where I had wet the bed until I was like 13. So I didn't really go to people's houses. I was like always home. So my best friends were my mom and my grandmother and I lost them in the last 3 years. And it really got hard um, continuing to have that drive to want to succeed, because that
Hmm.
drive to succeed was to like make them proud. So then I had to figure out, I kind of went through a dark time about a year ago, where I just like fell into partying a lot and drinking a lot. And I ended up going to rehab actually for 45 days. I've been clean 10 months, and it's really been the best thing for me. And that's where the song kind of came to life was through that process, I had to learn that that big mama spirit that I got from them was actually within myself, but also within these other people that loved me unconditionally, you know, like my
Mhm.
sister and my gay dads and coworkers and my friends that were there to support me. And
Mhm.
I was also very inspired by Katie Caden during the pandemic. So I really wanted to work with her on this song too, just because of her empowering, bolden voice and her flashy
Mhm.
style. And she was very good and positive and inspiring to me during the pandemic. And so was Sarah Potenza online. You know, we connected a lot. So I decided to pull them in as like representations of these two women. Katie being that, you know, spiritual, fun loving, goofy, like my grandmother, and then Sarah having that more dominant personality, take care of shit kind of girl like my mom. So they're very inspired and coexist, I guess. So it's almost like I got to do it with versions of my mother and grandmother. It was, yeah, no, so I don't know. That's pretty
That's
much it.
beautiful. That's
Yeah.
really, really beautiful. So you mentioned having the good mama spirit. Like, can you tell me a little bit about what that actually means to
Yeah, I mean the big mama spirit, you know, with a
you?
WMA. It's just about you know, caretaking and loving
Mhm.
people unconditionally, you know.
Yeah.
And so many of us take that parental caretaker role with our friends, with people that we love, sometimes children that aren't biologically ours. You know, and it's just recognizing that heart and that love and how you need to respect it, you know,
Mhm.
because so often, you know, and especially I relate this mostly with women a lot, to be honest, because I think a lot of times women that love hard are taken advantage of, you know, and, you know, feeling very more feminine myself, I've always felt like I related with that, you know, and
Mhm.
I think that that's where a lot of the words come from. Like, you know, she wears her heart on her sleeves, you know, don't tear it apart, don't take advantage, you know, don't look at her like this is some hostrel. She's not just a piece, you know, she's a goddess, she's important, she's special, you know, and I think that's really what the big mama spirit represents, is that that person doesn't have to be a woman. It can be an uncle, an aunt, sorry,
A drag racer
a drag
outside.
racer. Yeah, there's that. Let me close those. Sorry.
No worries. Well, I
Yeah.
think that's really powerful. I mean, I think a lot of times, like feminine things are kind of degraded or,
Mhm.
looked down upon. So I think that there is like that celebration in this of femininity. And there's so many intersections that are, a part of this.
Well, a
I
big part
want to,
of, sorry, real quick, you know, one thing that I really am striving towards, that's one of my goals, is the empowerment of women in the queer community. I think that the lesbian culture is very separated from the queer male
Mhm.
culture. I would love to integrate not sex only, but also racially. There's a lot of divide in our communities. So
Mhm.
one of my goals is to work on that, you know, and with this song, I'm working with a beautiful lesbian couple that's co-founded a production company with me called House of Queens. And this was one of our first projects
Mhm.
together. So that's another thing. And we have a team on House of Queens of some really strong, powerful lesbian women, as well as some queer people. So it's all queer ran. And so I'm also really excited about that, which is something that I really wanted to push with this song as well, is like coexisting and working with these cisgendered females that are really great allies, you know, and Katie being such a strong spiritual head, I'm very spiritual myself as well. And it's hard being queer and Christian, you know, and so I don't know, there's just a lot of everything I do has like a million underlying reasons, you know?
Yes. But that's why I think they touch people's hearts, right? Because there is so much behind it. There's so much there. And I think getting in front of this idea of like including space for cisgender women in queer space, queer women in those places, I
Yeah.
think is really important. I think it's something that's like coming to the fore more. It's like one of those things that's been going on for a long time as like a cisgender
Yeah.
queer woman. Like I certainly can relate to those stories. And you're starting to kind of see people talk about them. Like, are you watching Canada versus the World? Did you see
Yeah.
that they kind of had a conversation about that
Yeah,
topic?
I loved hearing Victoria Scone like stand up for herself, you know, and
Mhm.
it's something that I've even had to break myself from saying fish because it's such a part of it's queer culture, you know, as far as like drag, and it's been used for so long, but it's just about respecting people and their boundaries and
Yeah.
changing with the times. It's no different than racial slurs. You know, if it's making a marginalized community uncomfortable, then it needs to be adjusted.
Yeah. I mean, language is fluid, right? Like it changes, it evolves. And I think that, and it's always hard when that happens, but I'm interested to see how like those conversations are happening.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I want to talk a little bit about the video. Now, I know it doesn't come out till the 22nd, so I will not release any of this till after it's out, but I
Okay.
do have to ask you about it because I thought it was like a very beautiful, beautiful, almost like a short film. There's two versions of you like mask presenting initially and kind of exploring gender. And I want to know, like, could be my tinfoil hat. So I want to know what, if I'm on the right track or what the meaning was behind it. But it kind of felt like two versions of you, the version of you that had that like big mama love earlier and found yourself, and the version that didn't and found it later. Am I on the right track, or
Yeah,
can you
I
tell me?
think it's like I think you are on the right track. It's very inspired by those types of storylines. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like I was fortunate enough to find that spirit and love in a really close friend of mine early in life, like in high school. About my senior year, I came out, you know, and then the other side is like, what if I didn't, you know, but also
Mm-hmm.
inspired by people that live to that married age and ignore that part of themselves for so long, and then it just continues to break them down, and that's what creates the evil within them sometimes, and the pain. And that's where you see the dictation of, or excuse me, the representation of the man screaming at his wife, you know, over food, him boozed out on the couch, drinking, looking ran down, you know, to
Mm-hmm.
just that level of pressure, also depression and disdain that becomes within oneself when you're pretending to be something that you're not, which I did learn from. Also, it's kind of a representation of a story that one of my drag children kind of shared with me, whom really inspired me this season to kind of take the leap and just look at myself as far as like who I am and where I am at in my transition. And made me realize like a lot of the darkness I'd been going through was me trying to ignore the fact that I'm a trans female and trying to live in this contentment of being non-binary, when it's, you know, it's partially who I am and I love representing that community, but it's not fully who I am. It's still me holding back.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that from one of my drag children this season. You'll learn, you know, in the last episode. But so that part of that storyline is also a little represented by their story as well. Very inspired, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I do think there's this push to like pick, you got to choose. But
Yeah.
and then once you pick, like that's it. You can't change your story. And I think that your story, it sounds like, is evolving,
Mhm.
um, and maybe still evolving, from what we like the last time you kind of talked about. Have you changed pronouns again? Should I be referring you to she, her exclusively, or do you still
Well,
like
I think for
they?
now I'm they, them, she, her, you know, because I'm still
Hmm.
in that transitional period. You know, I've
Yeah.
used this time to explore my gender expression and my
Yeah.
gender identity and work on getting my hormones worked out and like certain things like started for my life before being completely public, which is kind of why I waited
Hmm.
until it came out on the show, which gave me this opportunity to have time to like prepare myself and get things ready before I'm thrust into this public spotlight as a trans individual. Because
Hmm.
another thing, like with the platform that I have, you know, coming out as a trans woman is going to push me into another segment of representation for our community. And I just
Hmm.
wanted to fully be ready for that.
Yeah. I mean, you're in such an intersectional place. Like you have so many communities to speak to, queer, trans, body diversity. Like all of
Yeah.
those things are things that like people look to you to like a model, or whether you want to or not, because you're in the public sphere. And what I love is that you use your platform so much. That is very inspiring to me when I see you beautiful and glamorous and embracing and celebrating that part of your identity as well. And I wonder for you, as someone in the public sphere and now moving into kind of Hollywood, which has not been historically that fat friendly, or
No,
whatever preferred descriptor you prefer.
no, that's fine, honey. I decided to re-own the word. I used to do this whole like, I'm fat, PHAT, pretty hot and tasty, which is true.
Which
But I
is true.
also, yes, very true. But I also wanted to start owning the word fat. Use the F
Mm-hmm.
word, honey. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
hurt anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's just like tall or short and
Yeah,
fat. It's just a
thank
descriptive
you.
word.
Yeah, thanks for
So, okay.
noticing.
But I mean, how are you navigating that sort of in the Hollywood space? Because you are moving into like acting.
Yeah.
Are you? Yeah.
Well, that's my goal and that's my dream, is to continue to act. And, I think it does limit me at times, but I think people are learning a little bit at a time. And it's just going to be about people like me pushing themselves into that part of the industry to help create and break that mold and create that place for people like me. The truth is like we have very limited trans and non-binary and queer actors in general that are extremely open, but not including like plus size or body dysmorphia or any type of different body shape that's not like the symbolism of what Hollywood sees as attractive.
Yeah.
And I think it's just about, baby, I'm gonna keep stomping through. I'm just gonna keep pushing through and keep showing up, until
Mm-hmm.
eventually people in those positions see my worth and see how beneficial I can be to their projects. And I think that that's all I can do at this moment, is just keep working hard and showing up and doing my
Mm-hmm.
best and not letting it get to me to a point where it like makes me bitter. I think that's the hardest thing, is just do your best not to become that bitter person, because
Mm-hmm.
in Hollywood or in the entertainment industry, you are going to be told no 1,000 more times than you'll be told yes.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to take no, take criticism, and with a grain of salt, unless you respect that person and their opinion. But still, you have to use what you're critiqued on and people's opinions, how you need to use them for yourself. And
Yeah.
if they're hurtful, those need to get pushed away. Bye. Those aren't necessary.
Yeah.
So it's just taking control of your thought process. And again, your narrative, your insertive narrative is so important to try to not necessarily control, but you know, keep it calm down, keep it
Mm-hmm.
nice as much as you can.
Well, I mean, whatever it is that you're doing is clearly working. You are starting to rack up some very impressive credits to your name, including obviously AJ and the Queen, but also American Horror Story and Love Victor. Do you have any memories from any of those shows that like pop into your head right away, or experiences?
Yeah, I mean, especially on American Horror Story, like I remember just sitting there in that environment with Evan Peters and the Alex, the director, and these, just these people that I look up to already, and just being like, oh my God, this is what I love to do. Like, this is where I want to be every day, is on set acting. It's just what I've always dreamed of ever since I was little. My go-to place was movies and TV growing up, because
Mm-hmm.
that's where I got lost into other worlds. And I idealized like Chris Farley and John Goodman and Queen Latifah, and RIP her Social Game, but even Roseanne, sadly. um, but it's like those were the people that looked like women I knew or looked like me,
Yeah.
and like that's where I could hopefully fall into this entertainment industry, which is still my goal. I want to be the trans Chris Farley of
Hey.
entertainment, honey. It's needed. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, you would kill on SNL. That would be
I would love
amazing.
it so much. That's my goal. And people laugh at me all the time when I say that, but I'm like, we'll just wait and see.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Like you have to shoot for the things you want, right? Or it will never happen. So I think that's amazing. Okay, so obviously you have L Word Generation Q coming up, which is a show that I
Yeah.
love very much. What can you tell us? Is there anything you can tell us about that?
Well, I can say that there's definitely like there's a surprise, and it's not just me. There is some like it's kind of a reflection episode, so you'll get to see some fun stuff from the original seasons, and that's kind of all I'll give for now.
Okay.
But it's
I
really
appreciate the
good,
tease.
and for like the real fans, it's like a really special episode for sure.
Oh, that's exciting. That is really, really exciting because I
Yeah.
am definitely an old school L Word
I
fan.
know you
So,
can't not be. It's just
right?
that, I mean, well, that was, like Queer as Folk was like the gay male show. The L Word is like the gay female word, queer female, but also the gay male. I mean, I loved the show too. Just
Yeah.
queer TV. We didn't have very much. So,
I remember like all of
we
my guy
had.
friends coming over and watching that shocking show that they definitely were not into every
Mhm.
week. Fast forward.
Right. To them at Folsom, upside down. Yeah, very that.
Exactly. Amazing. Well, I'm very excited about that. So obviously also you have, because you are so busy, you also have We're Here, which is an incredible show,
Thank
like
you.
truly a special, I know you don't like it, life-changing show for people, not just on the show, but I think it actually impacts people who watch it because it's so disarming. It like gets behind people's walls, and like is such a influence, like an empathy bomb. It is an empathy bomb of a show, and I think those are the best kinds. But it requires you to kind of put yourself in places where your existence, your body, everything about you is your identity is very politicized. How do you sort of stay strong in those situations, and can you feel that when you're filming?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just so used to it. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like the thing
mhm,
is like being me, I am a very large, flamboyant person, whether I'm presenting female or not. I am a
mhm,
noticeable person because I dress flashy and as queer as I want to. And I have a big personality. I have a large energy and a presence to me. So I'm always being noticed anywhere I go,
mhm.
and I just had to learn along the way to own the space that I take up. So for me, that's where it's at, but I still have moments where it's like, it can be overwhelming at times, but luckily we have such a huge support. And I have my sisters there, and we have a lot of team members like the art department to the design department to makeup that are like our friends and our team, and they do this with us, so we're not alone out there. So I think that's really what it is. It can be scary, but at the same time, I feel very supported. So
Mhm.
it doesn't even, I don't even notice it most of the time because I'm in such a safety bubble. Like, trust me, people,
Yeah.
they're making sure we are taken care of. So it's a blessing.
That's good. I mean, I worry because like especially that premiere episode in Granbury looked scary, but to know that you like have bubble will travel makes me
Yeah.
feel a little bit
Have bubble
better.
will travel. I mean, honestly, I might have been the most dangerous thing in that episode. Because I was literally, Bob had to step in and be like, Eureka, you need to calm down because I was like arguing with Christian people and I was getting very passionate because it was just very offensive to me. I mean, you'll see in the episode where I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm getting very passionate. I need to walk away. But there's a deeper part where like I was literally walking up on these people and Bob was like, Eureka, you need to back up. And I was like, you need to back up, Bob. And I was like, oh, okay, you're right. I'm gonna go,
Mhm.
So it's, sometimes we get passionate too. I know I do. I'm
Mhm.
very, very passionate, and it's hard for me not to let that take over sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I appreciate it. I appreciate the pushback because I think you want to talk about people in bubbles. Like I think that those
Right.
people, you burst some bubbles that day. So I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know we're getting to the end of our time here. So I just want to circle quickly back and ask you one more question about your music career because like I said, you've got so much going on. We didn't even touch on the fact that you're doing the Drag Race live show in Vegas right now. But
Uh-huh.
so obviously Big Mama has the video coming out and people can listen to it right now. Uh, but I want to know what is next for you musically. Is this the beginning of an album, an EP, a tour? Where are
Well,
you
I don't know. I
going?
definitely see a tour happening next year. And I'm like, I have some music that I want to like put together and make an album maybe and maybe add some more tracks. I don't know. I just I live life by my bootstraps, like they say in East Tennessee. So on where my heart goes with what project I want to do next. I'm like, I have another song in the barrel that I'm wanting to release. It's called Bow Down. So I'll give you a
Ooh.
sneak peek. And it's kind of like, it's going to be something that I want to release next year where it's kind of like this, the new Eureka of like, she has fully realized that she's the queen, no matter
Oh.
what crown she didn't win, honey, she built a castle with the stones they threw at her. So y'all need to bow down kind of attitude. But it's just a lot more like fierce and sassy and owning like my fierceness and, you know, letting everyone know, honey, bow down. I know I'm the queen now kind of thing. So I'm excited to, it's a different take of music for me. So that's what
That's
kind of what's coming next.
That sounds amazing. That sounds perfect for you. It sounds like exactly right. Like all of your music has kind of been reflective of where you are. And I love the idea that that is where you're going next. It is queen of the
Yeah.
world.
Take over the world, honey. Big girls are taking over the world. Y'all need to get over it. Big girls have wings and everyone in between.
Amazing.